Hello and welcome to another small game Let's Play. I'm doing this one basically as part of a series for a bundle that will be live at the time of posting. The bundle is the Gender Constellation Bundle for 2024. The link to purchase it on itch.io will be in the description of this video. Full disclosure, I do have a couple games in the bundle itself, but this one I'm about to play is not one of mine because I felt weird about just Let's Playing something I'd made regardless. Please do check out the bundle, support the devs, not just me. Whether you purchase it or comment, rate it, review it, anything to spread it, share it, helps a lot for just even the visibility of these games that they're not easy for people to find, even if they would enjoy them. But with all that preamble, let's get started with this game. This is Quinn and Flynn, which I've honestly been meaning to play for a while. I will quickly check the content warnings. So game-wide, police brutality, sex work, stigma / discrimination, classism, poverty anxiety, knives / stabbing, guns / shooting, and chapter 1 has blood. I don't foresee us getting to chapter 2, but just in case, there's on-screen sex, dubious consent, dominance / submission, hospitals, gag reflexes, and poisoning. But I imagine, I don't know how long or short each of these chapters are, but I am suspecting that even if chapter 1's relatively short, I will probably not go that much further than that. Alright, let's dive right in and check it out. Okay, this is interesting. Robbery, performance, Quinn's office, Kings Park, prediction, jewelers. This is chapter 1, then chapter 2, cafe, hospital, station. Mon Lena, questions, Flynn's flat, answers. This is a good menu. I don't yet know necessarily what these mean. Oh, these could be like sub-scenes. Because it could be once I've played through this, I can jump to each of these. Oh, that would be good. And again, good UI for that. That's cool. Let's find out. Chapter 1, Quinn and Flynn. Press any button. Press spacebar to advance, but I will probably click. Oh, yeah. It's him again. Oh, that's so good. I can't quite see what that thing is. Oh, but I love all these different little sound effects. I don't know if I just missed that there's a phone somewhere, but I have a feeling I couldn't answer that. Oh, good Foley work, though. Oh, that's interesting. I'm guessing later I can click into that to do things. But for now, clicking is not progressing, so I might actually need to hit spacebar. Yes. No evidence for that yet. There's no one else it could be. You just know. You've gained a sort of sixth sense. There might be many robberies in one night, but you know exactly which one it is. You're pulled to him. Don't even know his name. That's all he is to you. Him. Boutiques, jewelers, perfumeries. Always the mid-range ones. He only takes 2 items per robbery, no more, no less, and he never, ever leaves anything identifiable. Him. You've certainly tried pitting something. A loose thread of fabric, strands of hair, fingerprints. Nothing. He leaves nothing for you to pursue. Only blaring alarms and shattered glass in his wake. You've even seen him face to intricately embroidered... Oh, you've even seen him. Face to intricately embroidered mask. Taunting you. Completely silent. A cheeky little wave as he flees to prey on his next victim. Always just out of your reach. Always wondering who the bastard actually is. That alarm's been going on so long, you've drowned it out. The reports are done. You've gone as far as your job will allow. Like every other time, nothing is left for you here. Your goodbye to the owners is an apology, and it's our highest priority. You leave the scene empty-handed. Oh, it's like a typewriter. Oh, that's great. Another bust, detective. The voice jolts you awake. You blink twice, bleary-eyed, and dislodge a piece of paper stuck to your cheek. After rubbing away a tear, you look at the familiar face standing opposite your desk. It's the chief and your former partner, Elias. Another blink turns him into a blur, a vague notion of a tall man with pale skin. Hair he is adamant is chestnut, and you never really understood why brown doesn't satisfy him. Another blink and you can scan the contents of your desk. Loose leaves of reports are scattered around, the one you used as a pillow half finished. Don't think I can click anything. Again, love what's done with these backgrounds. These photo kind of backgrounds. Steam no longer rises from your coffee. You'd barely sip the thing. Elias approaches the desk, places his own by your hand, and takes the cold cup for himself. You've been asleep for an hour. Seems like you need it. Interesting. So I seem to have a dialogue option here that I will not touch yet, because I want to see how this... I want to see if I can play it out, or if I'm going to hit it... If I'm going to hit a stopping point where I need to choose one to progress. Figured it was best not to wake you. This case has you in a frenzy at the best of times. Okay, there we go. No chance to say thanks now. So I closed the book on it. I still don't know what that's for. You take the coffee and sip, glaring at him. Don't give me looks like that, detective. As if anyone else wouldn't be in a frenzy working on this. Perhaps. I mean, what? How long have you been chasing him? Let's tell the truth. Because presumably the chief knows, for sure. About 6 months, give or take. Feels far longer than that. It's like you've been complaining about him for as long as I've known you. Could get the case file, if you don't believe me. I do. Time is a tricky bastard, is all. I do find your dedication to this admirable, if not a little concerning. So, I suppose... The corner of his mouth twists, as if the phrase is acid on his tongue. Keep up the good work, detective. Name. You can call me Quincy, Elias. Quinn, even. We know each other well enough for that. Elias grips his cup, knuckles slowly turning white. I will say the same thing as the other times you asked this, detective. I like to keep a distinction between working relationships and personal ones. Elias takes a sip, not breaking eye contact, almost daring you to say something. I'm going to refuse that dare. You know better than to try. To the point, and as I said, you've been doing good work. Good work for nothing. Not quite nothing, surely. You've got a pattern down to the point you can predict his next move on a whim. And no idea who he actually is. What good does that do to me? What good does that do me? I know when he strikes, where he hits, what he's after. And every time I miss him by a hair. Do you know how many times I've tried to make a case to everyone else, Elias? How I'd be able to catch him if I had a bit of help? But no. He takes a little, they see him as nothing more than a petty pickpocket, hardly worth anything more than 1 or 2 on his tail. Bastard. Absolute bastard. Elias nods, his face still stoic. Keeping him in your mind is doing you no favors. You'll have plenty of time to think of him when I'm out of your hair. Have you got any plans for tonight? I'm going to say the usual, which I feel like is probably the same as saying nothing. Just going to the usual spots, you know? Right. The usual. Are you going to see your friend again? Interesting. Gonna take a guess that this friend is the thief. Just taking an early pot shot at that. Let's say no. And I bet that's still a lie. I bet that's a lie if we say no. I'm not. Elias stares at you. Look, if you're going to lie, I'd rather you put some effort in. He looks down at his cup and swirls it. Well, detective. His face sinks. Good luck. Elias walks out, leaving with a final severe look. The door clicks gently as it closes. I realize now, yes, the thief is the friend, because your friend was sarcastic. You meant you're just chasing the thief. And for some reason I thought the friend was like a lead, or like a person he would hit up a bunch for leads, but no, this makes more sense. He isn't good at his social engineering, as much as he'd hate to say it. The whole thing was a thinly veiled assault. Elias trying to back you into a corner and confess. Where else would you be going? Oh, I love the transitions. The click. The sun's just dipped below the horizon. All the city is bathed in a soft orange glow. Late summer breeze whips around your coat. Not strong enough to be unpleasant, but enough to make you wrap it closer to your chest. You don't go out after work often, only on certain nights, and to certain spots. There were old favorites, but that's all they are now. Old. Something new has gripped you. Poetry was never something you got. You truthfully still don't quite get it. When you tell people you go to poetry readings so frequently, they're usually impressed. They think of you as a man of culture and prestige. But some launch into tirades of their favorites and rambling about sonnets, up-and-coming stars that are here to change things forever. You nod politely and let them talk to themselves. Those kinds of people love the sound of their own voices, you've found. There's only one poet you truly care about. You thought the night would be uneventful when Elias invited you out. He insisted on it, something novel for a change. You're always up for a new experience, but you entered that building knowing you'd hate it. Why wouldn't you? You don't get poetry. A new string of words wouldn't suddenly make it click. Droning on and on, clapping at nothing, someone else enters. On and on. Until, green carnation poking slyly out of his pocket, he took the stage. His name is Flynn. You don't know his surname. It's a quirk of his. He only performs under the mononym. Prying for it feels like you'd ruin the mystique. In one line, he had you captivated. So close to the stage, his beauty was heavenly. His blonde hair shining like the sun, constellations of freckles bejeweled on his skin. You hung on to every word, open-eyed and eager for the next, fully at the mercy to where his verse would take you. He had this certain cadence, a warmth to his voice. You just knew no one else could deliver this like he did. And then You had to know more about him. The night is well underway. The last act, someone you give no more than a passing glance, is reveling in the audience's reception. It's not a standing ovation, but they're enthusiastic, and their performer is taking it in with glee. Clearly, there's someone new to this. Rather than join the crowd's modest applause, you're instead scanning the curtains, hunting for a certain silhouette. After working out his reputation, what venues he's at, and patterning out when he's usually booked, you have a system for finding out the exact time Flynn's on stage. It's a matter of convenience. Why would you waste your night on people you don't care for? I love the intensity of this, and the organization around it. The efficiency of it, almost. The audience is quieting down, returning to a usual level of conversation and merriment. Someone laughs grandly at his friend's quip. He's up next, as you predicted, and you see familiar curls of gold through a slit in the curtains. His hand snakes out and pushes them aside just slightly. Flynn glances around the crowd. You know he's seen bigger, and seems mostly unfazed by it. Absolutely gonna whistle here. Flynn shoots up immediately. He knows that whistle. You've perfected it to a precise C sharp. A delightful joy lights up his eyes even before they land on you. They know exactly where to go. You have one spot you always stand for each venue he performs. He mouths something to you, completely unintelligible, but you've seen each other more than enough to know what it means. It's an invitation. You're sure the poem was striking satire, or a wonderful commentary on the state of society, or something or the other. But now you're here for your intended purpose. Backstage, several performers wander around. Others are members of staff. Some of them know you already. Those who know even more wink at you. The night is still ongoing, which is perfect. Just enough noise for privacy, and all the attention is on everything but you. As you have your spot in the crowd, Flynn, of course, has his own to find. This venue is a maze of curtains back here, so easy to lose yourself in. Several have already made homes with pillows and gossip. In a dramatic flourish, you yank back the one belonging to him. You've progressed beyond the need for salutations. Flynn almost jumps to a stand and gently holds your arm. I missed you so much. It's been a while. I'm guessing is what a while is. I'll go with that. Feels like it's been years since I've seen you. Aren't I supposed to be the dramatic one? It hasn't been that long. Feels like it. Besides, you've been going to less nights. I'm always amazed how attentive you are. Comes with the job, really. Oh, you. Did you enjoy the poem? Let me check the history. Yeah, so this is what it said about the poem. Nothing about either meter or rhyme. I was trying to see if there was a... Not that either is correct, but I was wondering if there was something a little bit more relevant to the character's actual thoughts. Oh. It was little experimental, I admit. I wasn't sure how well it would land with that crowd. Although, I think they would have liked anything I did. Seemed to have a few fans in there. Go with rhyme. I loved your use of rhyme. You really have a way with it. The fact that I didn't use any? You stammer. You could have sworn you heard something like a rhyme at some point. Yes, that's what I meant. Flynn giggles. Almost anything you do or say can make him laugh. I still remember the look on your face when you saw me for the first time. I think I've accidentally... Oh, that's what that is. That's the auto reader. That makes sense. Yeah, it was automatically progressing. Mostly when I was clicking, but it was off enough that I was a bit confused. And I never liked poetry, you said? He moves closer, right hand drifting up to your shoulder. Hold it. Not to be outdone, you place both your hands on his shoulders and pull him closer. His hands retreat immediately, instead finding themselves pressed lightly against your chest. Flynn turns his head up to yours. His eyes have always enchanted you. A pale green. Jade. You bask for a moment. His heat against yours makes you feel... I have to go. Suddenly, Flynn pulls away. What? Already? I know. I had some extra stuff come up tonight. I don't want to leave either. We had to spend some time together even if it... We had to spend some time together, even if it was short. I'm sorry. You find yourself too confused to protest. I'll make it up to you. We can meet during the day tomorrow. I'm available. Tomorrow? Tomorrow, I promise. Meet me in Kings Park. You want to say more, but before you can even think what to say, he's pulling the curtain aside. All he left was a trace of a finger down your arm. He's gone. His silhouette dissolves into the drapes. Whatever shadows dance behind it aren't his. You leave unsatisfied. That's never happened before. What could he possibly be doing at this time? Sorry, I haven't mentioned too with the menu UI, the color shifting in it, like the mood adjustments are also really good. I love the very subtle color, like filtering, I guess. 10:53 p.m. according to your pocket watch. You close the lid and return it to your waistcoat and tighten your coat again. Nearly 11 o'clock. Unless he has something required to be in the morning? You really should have asked him. He's not one to keep secrets. Half the time he tells you things unprompted. But the speed he left as well. The light of gas lamps guides you home. That's a novelty, since they're usually off after a certain time. Occasionally you kick a loose rock on the ground, listening to it bounce across the cobblestone. Now you're listening to an alarm. Who's getting robbed now? It's no concern to you, just a curiosity. You don't work nights, not any of the ones he isn't about to strike. Just faintly you hear the shatter of glass. They're close. That does concern you, if they're armed. It sounds like it's coming from one street over. You could swear, if this is the part of the town you think it is, according to the pattern, this shouldn't be happening. The pattern is infallible. Every 6 nights within a margin of 9 o'clock. On nights like this, with the temperature warm but skies clear, he always seems to come at 20 minutes to the hour. But it shouldn't be this night. It can't be him. And yet, there you see it. 2 bottles of perfume missing from the stand. The only thing he left is shattered glass. Nothing to identify who it was. You stare at the scene for what feels like hours before 2 people approach you claiming to be the owners. In fact, you know them. They've been robbed by him before. You're off duty, you tell them, and give them directions for help. Not like the stationers want to help at this hour. With some shouts at your back, you leave the scene empty-handed. Now it has my attention, detective. Don't patronize me. I wasn't. I was simply stating a fact. You had him down to the hour, minute on occasion, months and months of an unshakable routine, and now the pattern's been broken. It has my attention, the attention of others too. You scoff. Well, isn't that a joke? I spent how much time on this? A perfect net to trap him in? You all want to listen to me when it suddenly goes up in smoke. I'm back to square one. All that work. Gone. No idea where he could be next. If I just knew who he was, I could... Elias places a hand down on your desk, leaning over. I think it's time for you to take a break. Do you have any other things you can be working on in the meantime? There's other cases you could chip into. I'm sure they need some assistance. I heard that there's been an increase in other robberies in the city center. It might tie into what you're doing here. Elias drums his fingers on the desk. Is there something you want to say, detective? No, not particularly. He drums them again, off rhythm. Could there be any personal issues on your mind? Issues, Elias? You want to talk personal issues? You're still not over Flynn. The accusation hangs between you in the air. You can almost see it move him in a twitch of his eye. Then he composes himself. This isn't the time to be bringing up petty conflicts. If you have no other work, then I suppose you can continue with this. Just as you say, you're back to square one. Focus on that. So this is how we're going to fix it? Ignoring it? I think that's what we need to focus on. Problems? Detective, I haven't seen a single issue manifest itself. Jealousy. You're the problem. You're jealous. Quinn, ever since I gave him that a little bit of attention, you couldn't stand it. Even more since we broke up. So you've been trying to make moves behind my back. Offhanded comments to other people, groomers, making people ignore me in and out of work. It worked, I'll admit, for a little, until I realized what game you were trying to play. Elias leans further over your desk, but you're not intimidated. You can't stop me and Flynn. You know that. And you keep trying anyway. His mouth tightens. Every move he makes is calculated with a tactician's precision that to an untrained eye looks effortless. To be countered, exposed, is the worst possible thing that could happen to him. I'll leave you to your work, detective. He storms out, professionally, in a manner to everyone else might look like he's been called for an important meeting or rushing to an emergency. You, like always, know better. You always know better with Elias. You let your head slump to the desk and close your eyes. Wonderful. Not only is this case becoming even more of a thorn, you've got a storm on the horizon with your boss. Your boss. Calling him that still feels wrong. That's all going to come to head. And then a walk. That's all you need. You need to stop thinking about this. You've been thinking too much. Kings Park isn't busy, miraculously. It's even one of the central points of greenery in the city. On any normal day, it could hold hundreds of picnic goers and even several boats in its lake. You used to walk here more often, actually, before... Quinn? His voice takes you by surprise. Suddenly, all the problems you had seem a little frivolous. You completely forgot about your plans to meet, and now you think you never agreed to a time. A lucky coincidence you caught each other. You try to think of what to say, but the look on Quinn's face catches you off guard. You probably have a look on yours too. Never ever good at a poker face. Not like... Is there something wrong, Quinn? It's more friends than work. Friends. Nothing serious. Oh dear. That's never fun. It has been getting me down, honestly. Flynn's concern starts to fade, instead replaced by a sly smile. I think I could make it a little better. Flynn moves closer to you. He puts both hands on your cheeks, caressing your left. The other comes back through your hair, finding your nape. This is bold for him. You have to see where this is going. Now he's tentative, as if he didn't expect to get this far. He must be waiting on you to act. Oh, it's swapped. Now it's got a kiss option. I'm going for that. Seizing the moment, you push forward to meet him. You wonder why he's so surprised. Clearly, this is what he was fishing for. Flynn pulls away and gasps. Quinn! He grabs your hand, pulling you off the dirt path. You stumble into a run as you follow him blindly. Before you can ask what he's doing, you find yourself behind a tall row of hedges. He stops before a small gap in the row. You're unsure if it was formed naturally, or if others walked into it before you. Flynn pushes his way through and brings both of you down to the floor, crunching twigs in his wake. A canopy of leaves surrounds you, the world suddenly quieter, and the sun muted behind greenery. Was that Flynn's plan the whole time? Did he find the spot before finding you? Light dapples across his face, catching his hair like threads of silk. And now we have privacy. Begin. You're far too impatient to wait. In one motion, you pull Flynn towards you and immediately set your tongue in his mouth. It starts nearly lethargic, inexperienced. Flynn almost seems nervous to enjoy it. You lead a little more, showing what he can do with his tongue. He mirrors it, like apprentice learning from master. He starts to grow more enthusiastic, understanding it, exploring in ways you haven't shown him. Now he's going faster. You match his pace, closing your eyes. You're entirely lost in how he tastes, how he smells. Of course you've kissed, but nothing to this intensity. You've both been desperate for this, you realize. Okay, go. I'm gonna take the go further option. Still kissing, you rip open his shirt, buttons popping off under the force. He tries gasping, but you silence him with another move of your tongue. You immediately set to work. You hunt his body, caressing and twirling your fingers along the parts you know are his most sensitive. Flynn shudders under your hands. You don't relent. You caress further, finding his ribs, his Adonis belt. Your other hand traces down his spine. You part to breathe again. Sweat has started to pour through your shirt. You loosen the first two buttons and flick a bead off your eyebrow. I think you exhale deeply. We need to go somewhere more suitable. Flynn laughs. It breaks the spell he's cast over you, and you start to laugh with him. Where? In the middle of the day? I was hoping you'd have some ideas. We could make our way back to mine, but suddenly his smile starts to fade. The people I live with, I don't think they'll like you around. I'm gonna click understand, but I'm curious what the character will understand. Okay. I think it's because he's a cop, and I don't think he realizes this is the case. I understand. My neighbors hate when someone they don't know is around. That's not quite what I meant. There we go. You're a cop, Quinn. The accusation makes you pause. I mean, well, I'm technically a detective. They won't care about the semantics. And that's not the point. The point is, I will not take the option. Flynn shuffles on the spot, moving one leg over the other. Leaves rustle under him. He stares at you. You've had your fun. It's better to cut your losses now. I do need to get back. But do not leave. Stay. You lean in for another round, but a set of footsteps through the grass makes you stop. Why did you even try that? The trouble this could attract is astronomical. No, I can't stay any longer. I have work to get done. You peck his cheek as a thank you and goodbye, and run a hand through his hair. Your next reading. I'll catch you there. Will you? You suppress a laugh, as if there should be any doubt in your skills. You know I will. You really should be spending the night off, but something's ticking in your head. Elias being correct drives you mad. He's completely right about you needing to stop. But you can't. Even when you take a break, put your mind to something else, it drifts back to this damn case. The only thing that works to distract you is Flynn, but you can never find him when you need him. You're walking again. You told yourself it was just to clear your head, but that's not true at all. There's a hunch you want to test. Because that avenue, the one to your immediate right, is one where there should be an alarm. At this time, this day, in this exact shop, 10:52 p.m., 1 minute earlier, because the sky is overcast. It's a new pattern, yes, only shifted, happening in bursts rather than regularly. It's crackable. You observe the scene from a distance, but even from here, you see his marks all over it. What was it this time? 2 watches? How unexpected. Another robbery just last night? Someone else? Oh, how terrible. It's all falling into place. You can feel your brain putting the jigsaw together. If you map the shops and what he took, assuming this new pattern of time, his next would be... You leave the scene, no longer empty-handed. You scribble furiously on page after page. The entire night swept by. Dawn broke 2 hours ago and you haven't slept at all. Your coffee is cold again, but you don't even need it. All you need is this cocktail of mania and spite. New patterns, new ways to catch him. You can feel the effort of months finally falling into place. Your eyes well up, demanding you to rest, but you just blink it away. Nothing can stop you. The door clicks open and Elias walks in. Your pen slows to a crawl. He does not speak. Then I won't either. You drum your fingers, maybe to incite him to say something. Elias walks over to the window. With a pinky finger, he pulls aside the shears slightly. He watches the street outside. Silence falls between you. Silence. Silence. Elias coughs. Once. Silence. You shift in your seat and begin flipping through some papers. That one's done, this one's done, that one needs some extra work, but it requires some more data. Elias is staring at you. When your eyes meet, he immediately turns to the window. You return to the paper. There has to be something you can occupy yourself with. Nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. You slam your hands down on the desk and jump to a stand. We need to stop this. Stop what? Nothing's happened. Trying to pretend that everything's okay won't help. It will help perfectly well if you keep yourself focused on your job rather than some petty squabbles. Petty squabble? Is that all this was to you? Elias makes a slow, deliberate turn to you. A petty squabble detective, and nothing more. You stride out from behind your desk and move to face him. I loved you, Elias. And I did. I truly did. But you were the one who... Elias snatches your collar and yanks you towards him. The force of his pull almost makes you choke. He presses his forehead into yours. We're co-workers. We're professionals. Nothing more and nothing less. Do you have any objections to that, Quinn? I'm gonna say yes. Many, actually. If you still have feelings for me, well, maybe you should have thought of that before messing around with pretty boy poets. You're the one who broke it off. My point very much stands, you fool. He didn't say that with his usual conviction. A fault line is cracking through his face. Wait, what? That you couldn't stand that I found another man in this city attractive? That's not what the break was about. Then what was it? His grip loosens on your collar. You were the best I had, Elle. Do you really think I'd throw that away for nothing? I put everything I could into it. Everything I could feasibly do for us. And you kept giving me less and less. Becoming more withdrawn every day. The affection I loved you for, gone. Climbing the ladder. More hours. Less and less time with me and everyone around you. More on this stupid job. I was starved. Flynn fed me. How was I in the wrong? He doesn't speak, but you see his Adam's apple quiver. Tell me, Elle. I tried putting the effort in. You refused to take it. Then, when I finally had enough, that's the moment you started caring again. None of this was my fault. He lets go of your collar fully, slowly taking his hands away. As your foreheads part, you stare at each other. His eyes are a deep blue, like the ocean at midnight. You are always terrified to get lost in them. Elias rushes to the door, taking nothing with him. He doesn't close it behind him, leaving it slightly ajar. His footsteps, running, fade down the corridor. Silence returns. You exhale, realizing you've been holding your breath this whole time. It's a hollow victory, if that. You said what you wanted to say, but now what? You still work together. There's always tomorrow to deal with. Maybe you'll get fired. He has that power, technically. Just thinking that, a smirk grows on your face. Imagine trying to fire you after you pull this off. Okay, I feel like we might be approaching an endpoint, but I also don't. I want to see if I can find that out. I don't know if I go... I was hoping I could check that menu screen from before. Because I keep doing one more scene, thinking I might be near the end of chapter 1, because I think it would be good to end that. So let's try. You're ready. You broke in yourself through the back, but you're sure the Julias won't mind. Especially if you're successful. It's been 2 hours since you've encamped behind the front counter, watching the day dissolve to dark. Far too early for him to actually arrive, but you're not taking any chances now. You did fall asleep for a brief moment earlier. It's one of the worst things you could have done. There's that little voice saying you've already missed him. But you got here just as the sun was setting. No one would be foolish enough to strike during the day. There's no signs he was ever here, either. And you'd wake up if he did arrive, even if he left without stealing something. You'd have to. The clock on the wall says you have 3 minutes left. You compare it with your own watch and confirm it. Perhaps less. Cloud cover seems to be incoming, looking through the bay window. The moon's hidden behind one, and... no. Hidden behind a man. Your heart races as you see a familiar shape, the moon illuminating just enough to see his figure, but never who he is. All black, just like usual, wearing something that disguises his form perfectly. Everything he does makes it impossible to track him. A fire ignites in your throat. He's drawn a knife. Silk flutters around wherever he pulled it from, and quickly settles back to formless nothing. Is it silk? Who cares? You don't. This is something you've never seen before. He's using the knife's edge to chip at the edge between timber frame and glass. So carefully he dislodges the glass in the window pane, not a crack or chip in it as he places it to the side. Now there's a hole just big enough for himself, and he climbs through. With a turn of his head, you can see his stupid embroidered mask. Why is it embroidered? Why? He wants to be unseen, clearly. Yet where's that? You shake yourself back to your senses. Now's not the time for this. On you right now is a pistol. The gun immediately puts you at an advantage, but someone being armed isn't something to scoff at. He looks around almost experimentally, like he hasn't robbed this place thrice before. He places a thumb under one glove, pulling it taut to adjust it. Go. You jump out from behind the counter and shout. He staggers back, entirely taken off guard. Oh, I didn't even notice that was some sort of option. I maybe should have done a thing. But he recovers quickly, and before you can act, charges at you. Remembering the knife, you dodge to the side. He misses you entirely. You're fueled entirely by adrenaline, only observing your body, not controlling it. Both your fists raised, light on your feet. Then you take account of him. He's fumbling with the knife, looking down, trying to find his next move on the spot. He's never been in a fight. You rush him with a punch to the stomach. The thief recoils, stumbling back, a high-pitched yelp. Wasting no time, you seize the moment and shove him to the floor. It's almost trivial how easy you go down together. Your legs pin his torso, one hand on the shoulder, the other on the wrist with the knife. You shift to pin him fully. He tries every which way to squirm out from under you, and then slowly realizes he can't move and stops struggling. You've caught the criminal. Him. You still don't quite believe it, and take full account of the man under you. It's him, in the flesh. Him. And it has to mean taking off the mask. It's threatening, which it still is, but I'll be disappointed if I'm accidentally about to try kill this person. Anticipation is gnawing at you. You're ending this now. You rip off his mask, tearing the straps that held it in place, and you pause, staring into jade-colored eyes. Flynn. You? Flynn doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. His hood slips off to reveal familiar curls. He tries looking at everything except for you. Then, there's nothing else left. Flynn swallows and raises his head slightly off the floor. Hi, Quinn. It's not a mix-up. You're definitely not that stupid, but you can't even go in denial that much. Accused. It was you the whole time? Well, what does it look like? He sighs and lets his head fall back to the floor. You're probably wondering, what I'm doing here? I'm not wondering at all. You're a thief. No, more broadly. That much is obvious. Why am I doing this, Quinn? Boredom? I'm going to say boredom. You're bored? I don't know. Flynn laughs. It resonates through your legs. You really are a cop, Quinn. What does that mean? You notice everything, don't you? Those nights getting cancelled, venues closing, more robberies every week, less money being spent, the city grinding to a halt. Haven't put a single thought to why, have you? It just happens. Things like that happen. And that's all, Quinn? What? They do. He blinks. It feels hollow, having to say it every time, to people who will never get it, blind to a wheel they're turning. Poetry's all I can do. I've tried, even before you started stripping away everything else. Then you get a little notoriety, making the most on your street, and suddenly you're everyone's provider. You can't let them grow cold, hungry. We're battling a breaking dam with panhandles and pennies. And now we have to steal pennies from you. You're lucky I do it politely. A lump is forming in your throat. This isn't... What? Isn't what? I'm going to say nothing. I feel letting this time out is the right. You stammer. Tell me. Not like it matters, does it? I can't get through to you. You can't get through to me. I do what I have to do. That's all. But But what? Well, that's how it started. It's still why I do it. Then you entered the picture. I thought you were just another person to chase me, someone to play with. Maybe I'd get a gift or two out of it. Then you became obsessive, Quinn. It was only a few weeks before I realized you were the one trying to stop me. The absolute passion you described my robberies in. If you weren't talking about me, you were talking about me. Going out every day, knowing that. Oh, if you weren't talking about me, you were talking about me. Going out every day, knowing that. A small guilty smile creeps across his face. You wanted me in every way, Quinn. It turned into a cat and mouse chase. I haven't felt like this in years. It feels like something's inside your heart, ripping it apart from the inside. Then it bursts, a heavy frisson gnawing its way through your chest. Why would you do this? I don't think you're in much of a position to judge me. I can judge thieves well enough. No, you're a fling, Quinn. Everything you tried with me. A little infatuation, trying to make your old partner jealous. Why would you bring Elias into this? You're the one who did. He's the one who started it. It's not my fault. I responded in the only way I could. Please, you're as bad as each other. I was only matching your silly game. Love was never a factor. What are you talking about? You start pronouncing the L and get stuck. It won't leave your mouth. I'm not stupid, Quinn. I knew you were never there for the poems. You don't even listen to them. You hardly know anything about me. You're only there because I'm pretty. I get enough people telling me that every day. Are you trying to convince yourself that you were there for the art instead of me? A knot twists in your stomach. This whole thing was fake. All of it. I don't know what to think of you anymore. He only shrugs. I did feel... He shuffles a little, only a little, under your weight. It was a game. Just a game. But... Love. Do you love me, Flynn? He stares at you, longingly. Flynn closes his eyes. I'm sorry, Quinn. He shifts under you, a jerk upwards, deliberate. You look at him quizzically. He doesn't do anything else, nor does he speak. A warm, feverish feeling is spreading across your stomach. It's quite nice, actually. Maybe fever isn't the best word. Still, Flynn doesn't react. You're close to asking why he apologized. That warmth continues to spread, and now begins to concern you. You put a hand to your stomach, and it feels wet. A knife rests there. Blood has soaked your hand. Oh, pulling it out is the wrong move, but it feels appropriate. Before you can do anything, Flynn pushes up, shoving the knife in deeper. Pain strikes through your abdomen. All you can do is scream. Flynn knocks you off his chest, shoving you to the ground. He jumps to his feet, dashing over to the bay window. You push yourself as much as you can off the ground. Reach for gun. The gun isn't there. You grab for it desperately over and over, as if doing that would make it magically appear. Another sear of pain up your abdomen. With an elbow, he thrusts into the window, shattering the glass with a perfect cacophony. Shards of glass decorate the floor, completing the crime scene. Only then, after all of this, the alarm goes off. You're stabbed, dude. You're not going anywhere. You hold yourself steady as best you can. Takes every effort to keep yourself up, but your strength is fading fast. Flynn escapes through the window. No trace he was ever there. Besides the knife, still lodged in your stomach. specks of light dance in front of your eyes. Your arms shake and give out. The warmth spreads up to your chest, and your eyelids fail on you. Okay. I will go a couple lines into this, but I won't even finish this scene if it seems like a real full scene, because I do think this is a good end point, but this might be a very brief denouement. Detective was found at 11:16 post-meridian, unconscious, stab wound in the abdomen, believed to be investigating or intervening in a robbery that took place at the location. Incident took place 10:53 post-meridian, believed to have been undertaken by suspect, currently unconfirmed. Suspect took one necklace and one brooch. Window was found shattered, presumably to enter. Detective had on person a standard issue baton and revolver, both unused. Suspect seemingly took him unawares. No sign of the suspect has been found. After significant blood loss, detective is unavailable for comment. He is under medical care, still pending for questioning, and is currently the only lead available. You close the notepad, rescrew the head of the fountain pen, and sigh. Damn you, Quinn. Alright, yes, I guessed correctly. That was chapter 1, and yes, it does also look like these are sub-chapter markers. Okay. That was great. Loved the turn. And this is Quinn and Flynn by Stanley W. Baxton. Who did narrative design, direction, chapter audio design, coding, main menu, and chapter select art. Freya Campbell did the Videotome ADV engine. Dagny Hella, Shred Tune, did the soundtrack, UI audio design, as well as QA and Steam Deck testing. Then Dmitry Nimijan Smirnov did UI design, chapter screen art, promotional assets, with code assistance by Val Knight and Liana P., and then assets from Unsplash Pixels Free Sound. The Museum of the Home, special thanks to Sanjit, Flynn's Hat, Grace's Flat, and Hospital. I think these are locations I haven't seen. Yeah, so that it was chapter 1 of 5 of Quinn and Flynn. With much more stuff. I look forward to how much more complicated the triangle can get. But that will do it for now. Details of this and the bundle are all in the description of the video, so go check that out if you want to buy this, support the creator, leave a comment, a rating. I would definitely also recommend Stan's Apolitical Magical Girl game. Just go read it. Just hold that title in your head and then go check out what it is. That is all for this one though. Thank you for watching and see you next time.